If I use my power, I can even stop you from getting that job, and if you don't like it, just apologize to me. I couldn't help but laugh at his words. Fine, go ahead and try, I said. My name is Mary, and I'm a new mom struggling to adjust, but the person who should be struggling with me, my husband, isn't around to help. To be honest, I didn't fully see who my husband really was until I got pregnant. He's older than me by 6 years and was already a senior employee when we met. At work, he came across as smart, hardworking, calm, and kind. When he became my supervisor, we got to know each other better, which eventually led to marriage. I was still early in my career, but I was so in love with him and thrilled to marry someone I admired. In our company, it wasn't unusual for colleagues to marry. However, company rules didn't allow us to work in the same department after getting married. After a lot of discussion, it was decided that I'd transfer to another department. I had a patent attorney license, something I worked really hard to get in college. Thanks to that, I was able to move to the legal department at the head office. As a new hire, I spent my first year rotating between departments to learn how the company worked. That's how I ended up in the sales department, where my husband worked, but after our marriage, I was moved to legal earlier than planned. 5 years later, I wasn't feeling well and decided to visit the doctor. That's when I found out I was 4 months pregnant. We had been letting nature take its course, so this news made us happy, but as my pregnancy progressed into the second trimester, my morning sickness came back, and I had to take 3 months off work. That's when my husband's true nature came out. "Are you just lying in bed?" he'd ask. "I'm too anemic to stand up," I'd reply. "Then what about dinner? You're asking me to do that now?" When I was working, we shared all the housework equally, but as soon as I had to take leave, he left everything to me, even though I could barely function. "You're home all day, and you don't do a single chore. Can you please stop? You're making me feel worse." "That's not about anemia, that's a mental issue. You're just using your pregnancy as an excuse to be lazy." My husband would sit in the living room, watching TV at full volume, completely ignoring me while I lay in bed. Worse, he would leave the door to my room wide open, letting the noise from the TV flood in on purpose. "Please close the door," I'd ask, loud enough for him to hear, but he never listened. This was when I saw another side of my husband. He would sit in front of the TV, constantly criticizing the people on the screen. "Why is she even on TV? She's so ugly. Wow, look at how fat she is. That guy's got some nerve." He never stopped complaining, and it seemed like that was his way of enjoying TV. Fine, he could say whatever he wanted, but why did he have to keep the door open so I could hear it too? "Close the door, please," I repeated. But he ignored me. Just as before, the TV blared, and his constant grumbling filled the house. I couldn't take it anymore. I got up, shut the door myself, and went back to bed, but before I could even get comfortable, he opened the door again. "Why did you open it?" I snapped. He didn't answer, just kept watching TV as if I wasn't even there. I had reached my limit. I called my parents and explained everything. My mom immediately told me to come home so I could rest and recover. The moment I arrived at my parents' house, I felt like I could finally breathe. It was the perfect place to heal. They made sure I had 3 healthy meals every day, and the house was calm and peaceful. My parents and my 2 younger sisters took care of me like I was fragile. Every day, my sisters would rush home from school to check on me. "How are you feeling?" they'd ask, their concern so genuine it made me tear up. Slowly, my health improved. I even started joining the family for meals in the dining room. "Lunch is ready," my mom said one day. "Thank you," I replied. "Do you mind if I turn on the TV?" "Go ahead," I said with a small smile. We sat together, watching a light-hearted show. My mom chuckled at the comedian on the screen. "This guy is hilarious. Once the baby's born and you're feeling better, we should visit this shopping arcade." Her laughter was so warm and natural that I started crying without realizing it. My mom noticed and looked at me, startled. "Why are you crying?" When I sniffled, my mom grew concerned. "What's wrong? Are you sick?" "No, I'm fine," I said, trying to hold back tears. "Tell me what's wrong," she urged gently. "I don't like living with Nico," I admitted. "Oh," she said, "why?" I opened up and told her everything. She listened quietly, without interrupting. "He keeps opening the door to my room on purpose, even when it's so loud, and when I close it, he just opens it again. He's always complaining about the TV. I want to laugh with him, The way I laugh with you. My mom frowned. That's not good, especially with a baby on the way. I can't stand the thought of him acting like this in front of our child, I said. You need to talk to him, my mom suggested. I don't want to see him anymore, I blurted out. Mary, you're going to be a mother. You can't just walk away without trying. You have a child to think about, she reminded me. You're right, I sighed. For the sake of my baby, I decided to have a serious talk with Nico. After recovering, I took only 2 months off work and then returned to my job. I also went back to the house I shared with Nico. When I got there, the house was surprisingly clean. It seemed like he had been managing fine on his own, except for one thing, the smell. Is this my pregnancy making me sensitive to smells? I wondered. But when I opened the door to my room, I saw the source of the odor. My room was a disaster zone. Garbage and dirty dishes were scattered everywhere. It was like a dump. Did he eat in here? I thought in disbelief. Just then, Nico came home. What, you're back? He said, looking annoyed. What's all this? I asked, pointing to the mess in my room. What's what? He replied carelessly. My room, why is it like this? Oh, that? It's your punishment for neglecting your chores, not taking care of me, and running off to your parents' house. I stared at him in shock. And by the way, he continued, you've gained weight, don't get any fatter, or I'll divorce you. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You weren't like this before I got pregnant. Why are you acting this way now? I've always been like this, he said smugly, you just didn't notice. If you keep neglecting me, faking sickness, or running back to your parents, I'll punish you again, he added. And what about our child? I asked, desperate to find some reason in him. Huh? The baby, shouldn't we put our child first? He laughed mockingly, you're so stupid. Of course, I come first, the baby comes second. Now, go make dinner. That was the last straw. I'm moving back to my parents' house, I said firmly. Go ahead, he sneered, but you'll just get punished again. It was clear we couldn't have a real conversation. That was when I made my decision. I was done. I was going to divorce him. I went back to my parents' house and told them everything. I never expected things to get this bad, I said. What can I say? He's a twisted jerk, my dad muttered. No, he's a twisted scumbag, my younger sister chimed in. My family's support made me smile for the first time in a while. With their warmth and care, my baby and I were fine. Time passed, and I gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Though I was told I could take a year of parental leave, with my mom's help, I returned to work after just 6 months. I worked hard for my son, determined to provide him with a good life. One day, on my day off, I decided to go back to Nico's house to finalize our divorce. When he saw me, he smirked and waved the divorce papers in front of me. I'm divorcing a fat wife like you. Here's the paperwork, he said, grinning wickedly. Perfect, I said, reaching for the papers. You're faster than I thought. Let's get it done. But before I could take them, he crumpled them up. What are you doing? I asked, annoyed. Wait, listen to me first, he said, looking desperate. What? Look at me. No, you just said you wanted to divorce me. Now let's do it. You won't be able to live without me, he declared. Actually, I've done just fine without you these past 6 months. Life has been peaceful. I'm a salesman, he shouted. So? I bring work to the company. Without me, none of you would even have jobs. Are you serious right now? I asked, rolling my eyes. A company is only as good as its salespeople. You should respect me. Okay, I said, pulling out the divorce papers from my bag. Just sign these. He grabbed for the papers, trying to tear them up. What do you think will happen if you tear them up? I asked calmly, stopping him in his tracks. Then I pulled out a voice recorder and my phone from my bag. I've recorded everything you just said, I told him. He snatched the recorder from my hand, but I didn't flinch. My phone is connected to a colleague, I lied smoothly. Even if you destroy the voice recorder, they've already heard everything, and if you don't sign, I'll help them file a complaint against you in the sales department. I stared at him. So what's it going to be? Sign the papers, or make it worse for yourself? Defeated, he nodded and filled out the divorce papers. I don't want any alimony or child support, just stay away from us, I told him firmly. Fine, he muttered. I grabbed the signed papers and left without looking back. Thanks, Mom, I said into my phone. It's okay, Just head to the city office and get it filed, she replied. I had been on the phone with her the whole time, letting her listen in case anything went wrong. Thankfully, Nico never figured out I was bluffing. Though I could have gotten help from my colleagues, I didn't want to involve them. As much as I hated Nico, he was someone I had once loved. I couldn't destroy his career, even after everything he'd done. But in the end, his actions made me realize my mercy had been wasted. After the divorce was finalized, rumors about me spread like wildfire. My ex-husband didn't waste a second, calling me a terrible wife, accusing me of harassment, and painting himself as the victim. He used every possible opportunity to tarnish my name, but I stayed silent. They say mothers are strong women, I reminded myself. For my child's sake, I refused to let his words bring me down. The only mistake I ever made was being blind to the kind of man he was. Unfortunately, sympathy for him grew in the sales department. One day, I was washing my cup in the office break room when I heard his voice behind me. "Hey," he said. I turned around, surprised. "What do you want?" "I came to see you," he said, grinning smugly. "Why?" I asked bluntly. "You're in trouble right now," he said, leaning against the counter. "What trouble?" "Everyone at the company thinks you're the bad one," he said, trying to sound intimidating. I shrugged. "Okay." His smirk faltered. He had expected me to be upset. "I've got work to do, bye," I said, turning to leave. But he stepped in front of me, blocking my path. "That's what happens when you piss me off," he sneered. "So, what exactly do you mean by that?" I asked, unfazed. His confidence wavered at my calm response. "You're getting a bad reputation in the company," he snapped, trying again. "And? Isn't that a problem for you?" "Not at all," I replied, smiling. His frustration grew. "If I wanted to, I could use my influence to ruin your career. If you don't like it, just apologize to me." I couldn't help but laugh. "Go ahead," I said. "Do you even know what my job is?" "Only people in the development department could make my job harder. And guess what? I'm a patent attorney. You're a sales manager. Our roles don't overlap at all. You have no power here." "Oh, so you think you can get a patent just by talking to me?" My ex-husband sneered. "You'll never get it. If you're going to apply for a patent, don't bother doing it with me." Then, he suddenly grabbed my cup and swung it in the air, as if to hit me. I shut my eyes quickly, bracing for impact. "Enough," I heard a new voice shout. I opened my eyes to see the general sales manager and the general manager grabbing my ex-husband by the arms. I thought this was just a lover's quarrel, but I was wrong, the general manager said, looking surprised. My ex-husband stood frozen, staring at the managers. The general manager turned to me. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I replied, still in shock. "Stop yelling. We could hear you all the way from the conference room," the general manager scolded my ex-husband. The managers escorted him out, and that was the last time I saw him at the company. He resigned voluntarily after that. It turned out, the conference room where the managers were holding their regular meeting was right next to the hot water supply room. The managers, including the general manager of sales and the deputy general manager from the legal department, could hear everything. My ex-husband, angry at my calm response, shouted insults, and everyone in the meeting overheard him. His lies about me being a moral harasser and a bad wife were exposed. The tables had turned. He went from making me the villain to being seen as the power-hungry, abusive husband. He couldn't handle it. In the end, the mercy I had shown him was destroyed by his own actions. As for what happened to him after that, I don't know. I'm just glad he's out of my life. The truth always comes out. Now, with my ex-husband gone, my stress is gone too. I'm focusing on working harder and becoming a mother my son can be proud of. As for my ex-husband, looking back, I think everything he did was pointless. But I'm just glad Mary is doing better.